I'm sure you all have a diagram like this, the one you've drawn on the whiteboard a few hundred times. Today in Illustrator, we're going to learn how to create it once and not have to draw it again. Let's start by going to the File menu, and we'll choose Open. Inside of the Assets folder, you'll find a file called penpractice.ai. I'm going to zoom in to get a little closer by pressing Command or Control plus, just a couple times. And we're going to use the pen tool to create this first letter of the word easy. To do this, we're going to press P on our keyboard, or you can select the pen tool from the toolbox. We now need to define a fill and a stroke for the pen tool. So I'm going to click on the fill box, and I'm going to choose no fill, so that as I draw the letter E, it doesn't fill in my letter. And now I'm going to simply click, and we'll see that the pen tool adds an anchor point each time that I click with the mouse. And then it draws a line segment between those two anchor points. If I hold the Shift key while I click the new anchor point, it will make sure that I have straight lines all the way around, or 45-degree angles, as you see in the letter A next to this shape. When we get to the end and we close it off, you'll notice a small circle appears next to the tip of the pen tool. That tells us that the shape is now closed. And that's how you create straight lines or 45-degree angles with the pen tool. Let's take a look at the one underneath that's just a little bit harder. This one is a Bezier curve, and we're going to look at how Illustrator can help us draw those with the pen tool. I'm going to click to add an anchor point and drag my mouse up until it matches the directional handle. These directional handles tell us where the curve will go. So as we click and drag, we can see that this first directional handle adjusts the first half of the curve, and the second handle adjusts the curve coming into the new anchor point. So the next curve will go down because the directional handle is pointing down. So as I click and drag to the next handle, you can see that this direction pushes the curve down, and this one brings the curve up into the anchor point. And then the final anchor point, we will click and drag the directional handle up so that it makes the curve look nice and smooth. So in that way, the pen tool can also create curves. You may want to spend a little more time practicing with the pen tool. Now, I'm going to close this, and I'm not going to save for now. And we'll go back to the File menu and choose Open. And from our Assets folder, this time we're going to grab the file that says throughline.ai. This is what the through line looks like after it's been drawn with the pen tool. Some Bezier curves, 45-degree angles, and some straight lines. And we've added this little piece of text, which I'll show you in just a minute. Let's start by drawing a circle to highlight the first part of our diagram. In the toolbox, we can click and hold on the rectangle tool to find the ellipse tool. I can click and drag, and it will make a circle for me. If I hold the Shift key, it'll keep the circle in a perfect proportion. If we hold the Option key, it will scale the circle about the center instead of the upper corner. And then now I can use V for my Move tool to move the circle into place. Now, there's two parts to drawing. First is the actual structure, which is what we've done with this circle. The second part is the appearance of that object. Currently, this object has a white fill and a black stroke. So to change this, I could just change it here or in the control panel. But we're going to use what's called the Appearance panel, and it is going to have some tools we'll need later on. So I'm just going to pull the Appearance panel out and put away the graphic styles. I'm going to make it just a little bigger so we can see the Appearance panel. With my object selected, I can adjust the fill by simply clicking on the fill box and choosing none. And I can adjust the stroke by clicking on the color and choosing a new color. And I could even make it a little bit thicker so that we start to see the outline of the circle. Now, I'm going to have some other objects like arrows that I'm going to want to color in this same way. Since I've already built the appearance, I only need to do it one time. I can click and drag the icon from the appearance panel, drop it into the graphic styles panel so that it's now here. We'll look at that in just a moment. For now, we'll put it away. Now, I need to draw a line or an arrow pointing to this circle. I'll get my line tool in the toolbox, and I'm just going to click and drag where I would like the arrow to point. Notice that it took on the appearance of the last object I had selected. Inside of our appearance panel, we can click on the word stroke, and it will open the stroke panel where we can choose an arrowhead from the drop-down. I'm just going to choose arrow 2. And now I have this nice arrowhead on my line pointing to this circle. The last thing that I'll need is some text. Since I already have text here and I like the way it's formatted, I'm going to use the Layers panel to go grab that text. This particular layer is locked. I can simply unlock it, press V for my selection tool, and select the text. Now if I hold the Option key and I drag the text, it will actually make a copy of that text. And then I can change the text so that it matches what I need for my diagram. And I can press the Escape key to commit the changes. Now we could continue through that same workflow for the rest of the diagram, holding Option to make copies of the circle and copies of the arrow. Now if we look at our final diagram, this is where the power of illustrating in Illustrator comes into play. Here in the Layers panel, I have put each of the different stages on a separate layer. So now, if I choose, I can turn all of my layers off and start only with my through line. As I progress and talk about parts of the diagram, I can turn the layers on so that they appear as the presentation is happening. In this way, it's similar to drawing it, except I don't have to do it all over again. So I hope that this has helped you in how to draw a diagram in Illustrator and save you some time. Now it's your turn. Go get on that whiteboard, draw it up once, and never do it again.